Pulsechain and PulseX price predictions, let us first tell you about the launch price. Our first hypothesis is that PLS will already have a price at launch. Indeed, when we look at the rate of the sacrifice phase, the total amount obtained, and the huge community that was sacrificed, we think that at release, the price will be worth a little more than $0.0001. Of course, this contradicts the opinions of many of you, but this is just our opinion. But, given the amount already sacrificed, and the burning process that makes the chip expensive and appreciates its value, it'll easily be 10 times at the very beginning before you realize it. As a result, the price of one PLS initially set at $0.0001 will increase to $0.001. Therefore, those who want to buy PLS on the open market will find it at the price of $0.001. The sacrifices and those who got the token before its release will benefit from the 10 times. Many of you, especially those who did not sacrifice, are already desperate, but if you're not one of them, it's okay, because we have made several videos to show you how to get the PLS and PLSX tokens right now. Check out our previous videos to know how to do it. There is still time. You can still get it before the official release. So, if you get these chips before the official launch, you can also benefit from the $0.0001 price, otherwise you will buy it on the free market at launch for $0.001 and you will miss out on the 10 times. So, you can see why it is important to have it now to benefit from the first pump. Second assumption is that the price of PLS at launch will be zero and then it will rise until people want to pay for it. Indeed, the sacrifice ratio is somewhere around $1 for every 10,000 PLS, but that doesn't mean that the price will be that. For example, if there are more sellers than buyers, the price could be much lower than that. Some whales got almost 2.5 times as many pieces, which means that a price of $0.00004 is a possible floor. If there are more buyers than sellers, however, then we could go straight up to $0.001 and never go below that due to the burn mentioned by Richard Hart. I mean, we could even go higher than 10 times above sacrifice ratios, but no one knows. This is just our way of thinking. That is why we are talking hypothetically. These numbers we give are based on a very precise analysis. A 1% PLSX liquidity pool means 170 billion PLSX in the pools at $0.0001 or $17 million in the pools. For a billion DEX traffic, that means $0.7 million or 24 buy and burns that buy all the PLSX in the pools at $0.0001 will be implemented. Also, the ratios are pretty fun compared to USDC and USDT. PLS and PLSX at 0.0002 to 0.0003 and 1.4 PLSX to 1 PLS. If the PLS-PLSX balances are correct, there should be a correlation with the pre-bridge, but not with the post-bridge. Now, what role will whales play in the rise of PLS and PLSX prices? Well, the logic is this. A whale dumping does not mean that a whale comes out with the full position. The mindset of a whale who has put a lot of money into the sacrifice, the consideration is the risk or return, and the speed at which you can return your investment while retaining a stake in future growth. Let's make this clearer by using an example. If you have invested, say, $400,000 and at 10 times your portfolio is worth $4 million, selling 15% or $600,000 will allow you to recoup your investment, cover taxes, and any fees, with the remaining 3.4 million portfolios representing a net profit and totally zero risk. In other words, we conclude that the whales will sell a percentage of the portfolio at 10 times, 20 times, even this 15% with low liquidity will cause huge volatility in the price of PLS and PLSX. But this will be not a reason to panic. You already know the game and that this is how it works. Other opinions are welcome in the comments. But before we continue, please like and share this video if you haven't already. Now, let's continue. The roadmap for mass adoption of Pulsechain is not only inevitable, but encoded in its DNA. The world's largest airdrop will bring 3 groups of people to Pulsechain on day 1. Each of these groups will respond differently, and acting in their self-interest will bring massive exposure, massive adoption, and exponential price appreciation to the project. We also talk about the new price discovery of existing tokens, which is a first in the history of crypto. This and more in today's deep dive into the exact roadmap for Pulsechain's massive 1,000 times adoption. Now, let's talk about Pulsechain and PulseX price forecasts. Let's start with Pulsechain. As we already know, Pulsechain is a fork of the Ethereum network. It has an unknown market capitalization rank. Pulse is a POW or POS hybrid which uses a precise algorithm developed from the Bitcoin algorithm. There are many factors to keep in mind when thinking about its price. It is the most important historical event in the history of crypto since it will copy the exact state of the ETH system. At the moment, its 24-hour trading volume is $0, and this is quite normal as its price has not yet been determined. With statistics showing the success of over 10 blockchains with hundreds and a few thousand X's, we can say here that history will repeat itself and Pulsechain will be on this list next year. The X factor here is that Pulsechain does not launch empty like most EVM chains. Pulsechain launches with every ERC and NFT on Ethereum, including all liquidity pools. The volume that Pulsechain will get in the first 6 months of going live is going to be huge. We can see thousands of movers moving in and claiming their free RPCs. All CPR holders will have a DEX to trade on. Remember that Richard Hart said that DEX is an MVP, so you will see tons of liquidity on PulseX and other DEXs planning to launch a user interface on Pulsechain. This will create a lot of volume and demand early on. 3 months after launch, 10 times to 50 times is relatively conservative if you ask us. Many other #HexiPulskins are talking about a prediction of Pulsechain's price on day 1 at 0.03, which would represent a 100 times increase. That is crazy, but hey, you never know. It's crypto, anything can happen. And that's less than half the reason why Pulsechain, in our opinion, will make in 3 months from the launch price of $0.0001. It's going to get interesting. This is the most overlooked and best performing crypto asset that will soon be available on the market. If you're already using Liquid Loan's price predictions, you can now migrate your position to Pulsechain if you wish. We have already made a video in which we have explained the process. Most people don't know Hex or Pulsechain, and we believe that Pulsechain will be better than BSC and Ethereum, so with the data from these cryptos that have performed in the past, we were able to predict the price of Pulsechain. Continue watching this video to find out. Well, we think Pulse will be worth $0.01 3 months after its release. Now, when we look at the price of Hex and Ethereum, we can use it to try and figure out what Pulsechain will do after a year. In a year, Hex went from $0.00027 to $0.008, or 30 times in its first year. Ethereum did much less than that, but that's because at the time, few people were interested in crypto. With these data, and given that Pulsechain came at a better time, and because of its burn on every transaction, we think it'll make at least 100 times in 12 months. Pulsechain is a hard fork with the complete state of the Ethereum system. Since it has never been done before, we can see a lot of hype and volume around and after the launch. Pulsechain is very unique in some ways compared to other blockchains that have been launched previously that have done 200 times plus on average. So, we don't think we're exaggerating. This forecast is indeed possible, and it will happen as soon as possible. For those who don't know, forks with some marketing gas behind them, even bad forks make people money. Pulsechain is a hard fork with the full Ethereum system. Its market capitalization at the time, however, is unknown. It'll probably monetize about 2.5% of the offerings. An automated market maker ratio fixing contract will produce enough supply to correct PLS ratios as the first action on the main network, as PLS will have a much higher supply than ETH. It has an unknown market capitalization rank. All we know is that the total amount of sacrifice, and that could well be its initial market cap. it is possible that Pulse could break through the 0.00696 barrier and hold the market by the end of 2023. Pulse's lowest price will be between $0.00601 and $0.00696, and Pulse's most likely price will be stable at around $0.00641 by the end of 2023. Despite the wild fluctuations in Pulse's value and the controversy surrounding its environment, this will allow most sacrifices to break even, and Pulsechain's market capitalization will be around $15 billion. At $15 billion, this will be the best performance ever for a new crypto in a very short time. Now, what about PulseX? With the assumption that we are forking all the features and functionality, it's safe to say that PLSX will be inflationary, but RH does have an incredible game theory with everything he does, so expect some curveballs. We cannot give an exact prediction of the price of PLSX, but we can at least use some elements to give some predictions. Let's start by looking at similar projects and their results. PulseX is a DEX, as are Uniswap, SushiSwap, and PancakeSwap. These protocols were launched and worked in different contexts, but they are our closest competitors, and how did their tokens perform? According to the UniUSD chart, the Uniswap token hit a low of $1.78 on November 16, 2020, and a high of $45.16 on May 3, 2021. If you bought the low and sold the high, you would be sitting on a gain of 2,482%, a nearly 25-fold increase in value. PancakeSwap, meanwhile, went from $8.29 to $44.33 in 2021, which is a 434% gain, or a 4.3 times gain. SushiSwap is another similar protocol. On the chart of SushiUSDT, we see that it has dropped to a low of $0.485 and increased to a high of $23.46. This represents a huge 47 times gain in value. In our opinion, PulseX has the potential to outperform Uniswap, Cake, and SushiSwap because it will work in a different context and has a different tokenomics. In addition, it has a much stronger community and benefits from the entire Hex community. In case you haven't heard, PulseX is the latest project in the Richard Heart ecosystem. PulseX won't take 1 or 2 years to do what Hex did. You might be thinking, why would it take longer than Pulsechain? But if you've been following us for a while, you'd probably understand what we think about these two cryptos. By the way, in the previous video, we explained why PLS will do better than PLSX. We invite you to take a look if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to like and share this video. Let's keep going. Just because PLSX doesn't do better than PLS doesn't mean it won't perform as well. We think PLSX may make a good 250 times in only 3 months. And you want to know why? Well, the total sacrifice amount is only $1 billion. Let's compare this value to lesser known cryptos that still performed well, and you'll understand why. The price of the PulseX token could reach a maximum value of $2.52 with an average trading price of $2.20 throughout 2024 or 2025. The reason is that for every $15 billion in volume traded on the PLSX exchange, it takes out $9 million. If you had bought the bottom and sold the top, you would be sitting on a gain of 2,482%, or close to a 25 times increase in value. Of course, this is all just a prediction and not investment advice. So, this video is meant to enlighten you, and you on your side will have to do your research before investing. The largest free drop in the world is defined as all copies of all ERC20 parts, not just PLS and PLSX. Richard Heart said the only 2 things left to accomplish for the main network are first to finish the AMM bot, which is still half finished. Richard Heart will launch the main network before the AMM bot is finished if necessary, because he mostly thinks getting to the market is more important than finishing the bot. Richard Heart expects mainnet to beat Ethereum 2.0 to market, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't. Ethereum will still have higher fees, thus maintaining the demand engine for Pulse. But if the mainnet is launched before the AMM bot is finished, there will be arbitrage opportunities. We hope you guys found this video tremendously valuable and especially entertaining. Be sure to check out our crypto brand called Cryptopreneur, Get yourself the highest quality crypto merch available right now on the market, and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our content. Till next time, goodbye.